Good morning, everybody. Welcome back. We are on page 110, and this week, actually, today, we start a new chapter, Perek Revi'i, chapter 4. In this chapter, the author divides into 7 categories, different matters regarding which we are required to have bitachon. Although all 7 categories require bitachon, the author explains how the manner in which we have bitachon differs for each category. And bitachon, we all know, means trust in Hashem. The 7 areas in which you must trust in Hashem. The matters regarding which the believer in God is obligated to rely on the Creator are comprised of 2 different categories. So it's very interesting how he loves dividing things into categories and numbers. You probably noticed that's like the theme of the book. Everything's divided into numbers, categories, and everything else. The matters regarding which the believer in God is obligated to rely on the Creator are comprised of 2 different categories. The first category is matters that pertain to this world. And the second category is matters that pertain to the world to come. The first category itself, matters that pertain to this world, can be divided into 2 subcategories. So 2 divided into 2. The first subcategory consists of worldly matters that benefit the person in this world, while the second subcategory consists of worldly matters that benefit the person in the world to come. Furthermore, the subcategory of matters that benefit the person in this world can be divided into 3 categories. The first, matters that benefit the person himself. The second, matters that benefit his livelihood as well as the sources of his wealth and various types of possessions. The third, matters that benefit members of his household, his wife, his close family members, his friends, his enemies, and people who are either more important or less important than him. So we need someone who's going to draw this picture of exactly how this flow chart works. Mr. Fensterstuck, I got my eye on you. Can you just draw us a little picture on categories 3, 4, 2, 27, whatever it is, the numbers? No, not today? Okay, fine, I'll do it. The subcategory of worldly matters that benefit the person in the world to come can also be divided into 2 categories. So we're going from this world, now we're going to the world to come. And there's again 2 categories. The first, obligations of the heart. Now that's a very important expression for this author. That's an important expression because
that's
remember that's the name of the book. This section, Sha'ar HaBitachon, the gate of trust, is 1 gate out of 7 in his larger book called Chovos HaLevavos, which means duties of the heart or obligations of the heart, which Lou is holding up the big picture, the big book on the screen, I guess. Can you zoom that in a bit for us, Lou, to see the okay, duties of heart, 8 gate. What's it? 8 gates of spiritual counting. So that's Chovos HaLevavos over there. Lou has the whole thing. So the first of the matters that have to do with the world to come is obligations of the heart and mitzvahs performed with the limbs, which pertain to him alone and do not benefit or cause harm to anyone else. The second, mitzvahs that are performed with the limbs and that cannot be performed without the participation of another person, with one person performing the act and the other person being the recipient. So he's very organized in his whole system of how he looks at it. Examples of such mitzvahs, they are charity, tzedakah, acts of kindness, teaching Torah, instructing other people to do good or warning them against doing bad. Meanwhile, matters of the world to come can also be divided into 2 subcategories. One of them, the reward that a person receives in the world to come, which he deserves for his good deeds in this world. And the second, the good that the person receives in the world to come, because of the kindness of the Creator, may be exalted to the pious and the prophets. So now that's like the tree, and you can organize it for yourselves. Page 112. In total, this is the main point. In total, there are 7 categories of matters for which a person relies on the Creator. There are matters that pertain solely to the person himself. Can somebody give an example of something which pertains solely to the person themselves? You need trust in God, and it's only negaya to you. It only affects you.
Your health.
Your health is a good example. While it affects others, it mostly affects you. Good example. Matters that pertain to his wealth and his means of livelihood. That I think is pretty clear, right? Number 3, matters that pertain to his wife, children, family members, friends, and enemies. You trust in Hashem with regards to the others around you. Notice he puts friends and enemies. Both are in the hands of God. Number 4, chayvus halvavos, obligations of the heart and the mitzvahs performed with the limbs of the person that benefit or cause harm solely to the person himself. So with regards, this is with regards to basically your Torah and mitzvahs, your spirituality, and the rituals, the acts associated with one's belief and trust in Hashem and mitzvahs, etc. So, and that's regards only to yourself. What's an example of a mitzvah that's only affects you, or primarily affects you? Jerry gave a good example, putting on tefillin. Good, you put on tefillin. While there is a cosmic effect, it probably has an effect on the world, it's primarily involving you. Then the obligations performed with the limbs of the person. And by the way, putting on tefillin involves an obligation of the heart and an obligation of the limbs. Because when you put on tefillin, there's the meditation involved with putting on tefillin. And there's the binding of the straps around your arm. And the other mitzvahs, obviously, with regards to this. Kosher is another good example. Then there's obligations performed with the limbs of the person that benefit or harm other people. There's the mitzvahs that you do that affect giving tzedakah or hurting someone, God forbid. All this, God. So why? The question is going to be, why is trust in Hashem important for putting on tefillin? Understand that belief in Hashem is important for putting on tefillin. I understand that putting on tefillin is obedience in Hashem is important for putting on tefillin. But why is trust in Hashem important for putting on tefillin? Why is trust in Hashem important when a lady lights Shabbos candles? Why is trust in Hashem important for eating kosher? Right, or so it's interesting. Some mitzvahs are more connected with trust in Hashem. I'm just thinking aloud. Let's say some mitzvahs are more important. Tzedakah is more important to have trust in Hashem. When you give tzedakah, you have to have trust in Hashem that giving this tzedakah, Hashem is going to take care of you. That way you can afford to give some money away. That's when, even when you're not sure if you have enough, you can still give tzedakah, right? Or mezuzah is involved with trust in Hashem because we know a mezuzah is written on the mezuzah, the letters Shin Dalet Yud, which is Hashem's name, which stands for Shemer Dalseis Yisrael, the one who guards the homes of Israel, the doors of Israel. And in putting up a mezuzah, is connected with our trust in Hashem that He's going to protect us. But what tefillin? Where's trust in Hashem? So we have to analyze and see where He's going with this.
Rabbi, can I ask a question?
Sure.
Why don't matters include obligations and rewards? Why are they listed separately?
Where do you saying now we're going to the next thing? The next thing is number 6.
No, what I'm saying is that when you talk about matters, okay, matters that pertain solely to the person himself.
Okay, number 1 and number 2. So it's not, 1 second. Whether you're going to be healthy is not only a matter of reward and punishment.
He starts with 7 categories of matters for which a person relies on the Creator. But matters within itself includes obligations and rewards.
Well,
why are there?
I don't understand your question. He's dividing these. He's got 7 categories. 7.
No, he's saying.
And he divides them now into 7.
But he says
now what the 7 are.
He says 7 categories of matters, but he only lists 3 categories of matters.
This is just this is just a translation style thing. The fourth
Oh.
matter is matters of the heart, matters of obligations of the heart and the mitzvahs performed that benefit.
Got it.
the
Okay.
heart.
Okay.
The fifth is matters of obligations performed with the limbs. The sixth is matters of reward in the world to come that is commensurate with a person's actions in this world. And so there's reward in the world to come. And the seventh is the reward in the world to come that comes as a form of kindness from the Creator. Blessed be He to those who are treasured by Him and those who love Him, as is written in Psalms. How abundant is your goodness that you have hidden for those who fear you in the presence of man. You have acted for those who take refuge in you. So having explained in the previous 2 chapters, the 5 foundational concepts that are a result of recognizing them, it's possible for a person to have complete bitachon in God, may He be exalted. We've established how bitachon works. In other words, we've done a thorough dissection of the idea of how bitachon works, what you need to have bitachon, how the recognition, and we can go back and look over there, but we've done a lot of discussion about that. It's now incumbent upon me to juxtapose the explanation of the proper manner in which a person should have bitachon regarding each of the aforementioned 7 categories. Through them, he will know how to go about having bitachon in God, as well as the proper way to rely on others if necessary. And it's important, there will be some reliance on others, and we'll see how the proper way for that is as well. And he's now going to go, in other words, having established the big picture, now we're going to go deal with the details of how to live a life of bitachon. So the first thing is the introduction here says, what concerns you is determined by God, but you must take initiative. And this is something we've read already in the previous chapter, the importance of taking an initiative and how taking an initiative has to be understood for what it is as an instruction of Hashem. Although we're making our part, we understand that ultimately it's all in the hands of God, and that gives us a balanced view of our own initiative, right? That's something we spoke about at great length. But now let's read over here and see what he says. I will say as an explanation of the first category of the 7. Remember, let's go back. We don't have to go back because he's going to say it again. He's very repetitive in a way, and which is part of the genius of this book, is he really instructs you and teaches you how to grow in this method, which is outlined above, consists of matters. This is that matters that pertain solely to the person himself, his life, and now he gets into the details, his life and death, food and his life, food for his livelihood, clothing, shelter, health and illness and character traits. Have you ever worried about life and death for yourself, or food for livelihood, money, clothing, shelter, health and illness, and character traits? By the way, character traits are very important, just as important as food is what kind of character we have. So all these things which a person needs in order to function well. Regarding each of these matters, the proper manner in which a person is to rely on God is to give himself over regarding all these matters to the predetermined ways in which the Creator has decided to conduct himself with him. Realize it's all in the hands of Hashem, and it's all predetermined. So next time you have to go to your doctor for a well visit, because God forbid anyone should ever have to go to a doctor for anything else, you can tell yourself, and if you want, you should even tell your doctor, that you should know that it's all in the hands of God. Now we're only making the earthly efforts that Hashem asks us to make, but we can't in any way change the outcome Hashem wants, for good or for bad. Great doctors know that.
Sounds like you need one today.
Yeah, I've had a bit of a cold and I woke up this
Drink a
morning.
lot of fluids.
Okay, I will do so.
Thank you.
Thank you. Regarding each of these matters, the proper manner in which a person is to rely on God is to give himself over regarding all these matters to the predetermined ways in which the Creator has decided to conduct himself with them. It's all in the hands of Hashem. Give yourself over to God. I like the Hebrew. Sheyashlich es nafshei bohem. He casts his soul in them. It's like just, he should rely on God. May he be blessed and recognize that none of these matters come into being unless it has been predetermined by God, that they are proper for him, both in this world and the world to come, and that all will ultimately be for the best, as we've discussed at great length. Next time we have a business deal, we have to know that the outcome, how we make our money, how much money we're going to have, is already determined by Hashem. Next time your financial guy calls you up to have to make a decision on some kind of financing situation, interest rates are nearly zero, the world is upside down, COVID-19, reopening, closing, REITs and Schmitz, whatever it is, you've got to know it's macht nicht aus. It doesn't make a difference. I mean, it makes a difference because whatever, we have to make an effort, but it's all in the hands of Hashem. So you make the best choice that you can at the time, and finished. Now it's in the hands of God. But the stress and the anxiety and the worry and the shmari, forget about it. It's all in the hands of Hashem. Whether it's health or whether it's money or whatever else. And it will be for the best. Sometimes it's going to go up. Sometimes it's going to go down. Sometimes we'll have lots of money. Sometimes we'll have no money. By the way, I've been there. Most of us. We have good weeks, we have bad weeks. It's all fine, it's all for the best. Stop stressing so much. We've had it with health, right? We've all had healthier times, we've had less healthy times. We've had times of our life where there's more finances, there's less finances, there's more food, there's less food. The biggest issue is whether we can remain mentally strong or not through the roller coaster of life. That's the biggest issue, right? So when you have emunah and betachim, you betachim Hashem, trust in Hashem that it's all going to be good and it's all for the good, you don't have to worry so much. Which, by the way, is good for the heart.
It's true.
And this we've explained, and if this sounds far-fetched, go back and listen to the videos that we've done so far. We've explained this at great length, that this is really the way it is, and anything else is just an illusion that we clutch at straws to pretend that we have more control than we actually do. And that kind of false illusion causes tremendous strain on us unnecessarily, because as much as we worry, it makes absolutely no difference to the outcome. He should also realize that God conducts himself equally regarding all those matters, so that no other being's advice or behavior can help him. Unless it is with God's permission and according to his decree and judgment. You can go from one expert to another expert to another expert. It's not going to help. It's in the hands of Hashem. When Hashem wants, it will be. Just as a person understands that no being has power over his life or death, his illness or health, so too no being has any control over his livelihood, his other needs, his clothing, and the other matters pertaining to his body. It's all Hashem. It's all God. So you have to do what you have to do in the material world. In other words, we have to make the effort Hashem requires of us, and we've discussed. But we have to remember that ultimately what's going to happen, the outcome is in the hands of God. Any questions or comments? Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining our session this morning. We will resume on Sunday morning. See you. Let me stop.